I now request Shri Banga, President and Chief Executive Officer, MasterCard, to deliver the convocation address.
I think he deserves to be able to say that while sitting after he stood for so long. So, Chairman Naik, members of the IIMA Society, members of the Board of Directors, Director Ashish Nanda, faculty, families, representatives of the first batch of IIMA from 1966, but above all, to all of you who are the graduating class of 2015, congratulations. I hope you can say 2015 ki class ka tempo. Good job. You all came to the IIMA to forge your own destiny just as we did and to shape your own future. And you kind of understood what Rabindranath Tagore wrote so many years ago. He said, you cannot cross the sea merely by standing and staring at the water. And tonight I can say that the waters that first beckoned you here have now been crossed and you've all reached a further shore. And I tell you, what a great moment and what a beautiful setting to be able to say that to all of you with. So congratulations once again. And to those of you who have supported, loved, and nurtured your way, your families, your faculty, friends, I saw many of them sneak up to take photographs on both sides. Those are the signs of the enormous amount of pride that they have in you. It's actually their achievement as much as it is yours. So congratulations to all of them as well. You know, my wife is a classmate of mine from my batch at IIM Ahmedabad, and she's in the audience today, and her name is Ritu. And when we were coming here, I kind of told her something that she's probably going to kick me for later, but I did say that, did you ever imagine in your wildest dreams that we would be in the Louis Kahn Plaza looking out at 500 odd students who are getting the opportunity to get this? Would you imagine we would be doing that in your wildest dreams? And wives have a way of bringing you down to earth. And she basically said, you don't understand, after being married to you for 31 years, you don't feature in my wildest dreams. So I guess that's what life is like. It means a great deal to me actually to be back here 34 years after my own convocation and to join all of you in recognizing all these outstanding graduates, to gather here at this beautiful, magnificent Louis Kahn Plaza. Honestly, it's as stunning and grand as ever. I was telling Ashish, looking out this way, that starting when the sun is up and going through it with the lights on, it's a magnificent feeling. And just to mark the 50th anniversary with all of you here from the class of 1966, this is quite a privilege for me and for my wife and for my family. It's an amazing opportunity. So when you look back 50 years, because 50 years is what we're talking about, you will find some very interesting milestones, and Google is a magnificent way to figure this out. But for example, 50 years ago, IBM introduced the computer mainframe. 50 years ago, the first Star Trek pilot was made. And by the way, for those of you who are investment buffs, 50 years ago, Warren Buffett became the head of Berkshire Hathaway. By the way, if you had invested $100 with Berkshire Hathaway in 1965, you would be worth $2 million today. And of course, there's an even greater investment that's been made since then, and that investment is in the education of leaders here in India and around the world, thanks to this institution. And for that, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Director, members of the board and the society, you all deserve a truly, truly strange round of applause from everybody here. And that investment is what you're paying tribute to tonight, led by the faculty and the effort and energy they put into educating all of us. And I think we all can continue to be very, very grateful for this a half century later after the founding. So coming back here invokes a wellspring of just wonderful memories. It's a homecoming of sorts, obviously. This school gave me a great education. It gave me a family. As I said, I met my wife here. She's sitting here. That meeting produced a lifelong partnership. We've been married for 31 years. That partnership is the bedrock of my joy and my happiness. And so, it also gave me the most precious gift of all, which is our two daughters. So not only does IIMA rank among the world's elite business schools, I think it possesses the alchemy for matchmaking. And in a broader sense, IIMA has also given my wife Ritu and me an extended family of very dear friends and a very robust network of contacts. A number of these friends are here in the audience today. Our classmate Chintan Parekh is on your board. And thanks to his efforts and energy today, we met up with a number of our classmates who are here, Devendra Amin, Diane Parekh and Neeraj Yagnik. And it just, catching up, the time just flies away. And what I really wish for you tonight is the equal richness in gifts that I have received from this school. So to the class of 2015, I want to begin by celebrating the journey you all have been on. I couldn't be more delighted, I couldn't be more thrilled for you. And I think it feels sometimes just like yesterday that I was sitting here in your shoes, sitting where you're sitting, sweating in the heat, while the fans are on the stage, that nothing has changed. And granted, yesterday was more like 3.5 decades ago, now it's 34 years. But the school kind of makes that impression on you. You never really leave it, and it never really leaves you. And I remember some seriously hard courses, some brilliant but very demanding professors, more than a few late nights, and just surviving the first term and whack, realizing that if you can survive that, you can survive anything. So I remember having the experience of a lifetime, forming friendships and bonds that would last a lifetime, and I wish you all more of that as you go through your life. These memories, these opportunities, these friendships, I'm sure you'll look back 30 years from now and recall and feel exactly the way that Ritu and I feel about our luck and privilege of being a part of this school. And thanks to Director Nanda, I got a chance to meet with some of this year's class when I was here this past January for Vibrant Gujarat, and I spent the better part of that week working with today's leaders in business and government and civic society and international development. And then I came here to campus where I got to spend time with tomorrow's leaders in those fields, all of you. And needless to say, that was quite a beautiful symmetry. So what I want to focus on with you this evening is leadership and your leadership. And how do you take the leadership potential that all of you have and cultivate it so that you can begin to realize it along your journey? By the way, none of this is to say that I have all the answers. I actually don't. And my daughters are 28 and 24, and they're watching this live streaming in New York where it's snowing. And they will tell you that their father has no clue what he's talking about. But that's normal. But what I do have are some perspectives around leadership that I can offer from my experience. And I'm going to share 3 of those with you. And the first one is some leadership attributes that I look for in myself, but I also look for in the others who work for me and around me. And the second, I'll talk about leadership and the importance of developing a global view of things. And third, I'll talk about why leadership in its highest form facilitates doing well and doing good at the same time. And before I proceed, I'm going to make a disclaimer like you have in all the investment ads, right? So when I graduated, I was all of 21 years old. I came here at the age of 19. I was completely green behind the ears, and you had to find the ears if you wear a turban. But I had no clue what I was going to do with my life other than to join a great global firm. That's all I knew. And I was lucky enough to get into Nestle. Those days it was called Food Specialities Limited. That was my grand plan. Get with somebody good, get with somebody global, do something that interested me, and that's it. So my point to you is, don't stress if you haven't got a grand detailed plan for your life. Anybody can have a good idea or a plan. What makes it happen is execution, which brings me to my first point around those leadership attributes. And by the way, in sharing these with you, I'm going to repeat some points I've made over the past year at a couple of other business schools, because it is such an important part of who we are and who I feel I am. And to the 6 graduates who I'm proud to say are coming on board at MasterCard from this group, and the 3 from last year's batch who are sitting in the row there, If you miss a point or two, you doze off, you're too busy thinking about your party, don't worry about it. You'll hear them again from me soon enough when you're in the company. You can ask all your colleagues who are here. A few of my colleagues are here as well. And you will hear the same things I've been talking about for some years. And the first is a sense of urgency. Today's world of rapidly changing technology and ever-shortening innovation cycles, there is no place there for procrastination. And it's that urgency that makes me say to colleagues in my company, if you have good news for me, take the stairs. If you have bad news, take the elevator. I need the bad news first, and I need it fast so I can help you do something about it. It's very easy to get good news all the time. You have to have a sense of urgency about dealing with the tough issues. The second is a sense of balance. And a lot of people think that urgency and patience are contradictory to each other. And you could not be more wrong if you subscribe to that point of view. You need to be patient enough to listen to everybody. But yet, you must have a sense of urgency to take a decision and to execute when you're going to have imperfect information. And that requires you to the third point, which is you need to be courageous enough to take thoughtful risks. You're never going to have perfect information. The willingness to take a decision at that time will depend on your ability to take a thoughtful risk, which ultimately depends on your courage. And the thoughtful part depends also on your humility and realizing that you don't have all the answers, that you can learn something from everybody around you. And I know you got a good dose of humility as soon as you come here. You come from a school where you no doubt were the toppers and the top guns in your class. And here, everybody is a top gun. And humility is practically a rite of passage in the first term of being at IIMA. And so I know you understand that. Don't forget it for the next 35 years as you go through your life. And the fourth is to be paranoid, competitively paranoid. And by that, I don't mean be fearful. What I really mean is constantly ask yourself if you're missing something. Is there more to the problem? If you don't question everything, if you're not competitively paranoid, you will not have the sense of self-introspection that you will so sorely need to be a real leader in your journey through life. Now, all of these, by the way, are tremendously facilitated if you surround yourself with people who don't look like you, who don't walk like you, who don't talk like you, and do not have the same experiences and the same backgrounds as you. When I'm in the US, yes, I'm diverse, I stick out a mile. But in India, I'm not. There are plenty, and I fit in exactly the way that every other Indian belongs. But the problem is it's not where you came from or what you look like that matters. That's not the diversity I'm talking about. What matters is what you do, and even more importantly, how you do it. If you can get those two right, you have the true essence of diversity that will see you through many trials and tribulations in the next 35, 40 years. So what makes diversity so important? It's essential because a group of similar people tend to think in similar ways. They reach similar conclusions, and by the way, they have the same blind spots. And to guard against that, you're going to need to harness the collective uniqueness of those around you to widen your field of vision, to see things differently, to sort of fail harder, try new things, and fail harder, to innovate and to question everything. Widening that field of vision means widening your worldview, and that's my second point around leadership and globality. The world is getting smaller, it's getting more interdependent than ever. Leadership and developing a sense of globality is more important than ever. And what do I mean by globality? I mean developing a global view and increasing your connectivity to the world around you. For example, once you settle into your new jobs, consider getting involved in organizations outside of your work, but that connect back to it as well. A bilateral or a multilateral institution or an organization like the World Economic Forum. There are colleagues of mine at MasterCard who have been very active right out of school. And the point and the key here is go beyond thinking of the world through the lens of your company or your organization or even your country. All of which are better served by the mindset that you cannot catch those blind spots I just mentioned when you have blinders on. Globality is about taking those blinders off as we were discussing at lunch, Chintan. Exactly the same blinders. It's about seeing that we've got a global population that's increasing exponentially. We're at 7 billion people today. 100 years ago, that number was 2 billion. We're expected to approach 9 billion people in a short few decades. 9 billion. From 100 odd years ago. You're going to have to be aware of demographic shifts. You're going to have to be aware of what it means for a country like India versus what it means for a country like China, where the demographics at both places are moving in completely opposite directions. You've got to recognize that globalization has benefited some, but not nearly enough people. In fact, we're seeing some backlash in the form of increased nationalism and in some cases chauvinism. You've got to realize the role world governments and politics will play. Who's in, who's out, makes a difference in addressing these larger global issues. It makes a difference to your company and your organization in all the countries where you want to be. The regulatory environment around your business will be something you will really want to get a handle on as you go through life. Globality doesn't just broaden your thinking, it expands your focus. It enables sectors like government, business, civil society, international development, foundations to get beyond their own spheres and to work together for shared interests and shared concerns. Why am I saying all this to you? Because wherever you're working, as you do your day-to-day tasks, the more you can put what you're doing in a larger global frame, the more value you will add to those around you, and the more you will deepen a very, very important aspect of leadership. Globality is the 21st century's answer to the ancient Greek ideal of being a citizen of the world. It's the deep appreciation that, in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. You cannot live in your own little space. Globality is vital to leadership at any level, but it's a prerequisite for leadership at the highest levels, where you will have the greatest opportunities to do well and to do good, which brings me to my third point. Doing well and doing good is an organization or business operating at its very best for itself, but even more so for society. It's the highest form of leadership. It's the idea that you can pursue what is in your best interest as well as what is in the interest of others around you. And it's the recognition that your success is tied to the success of others. You know the saying that it's lonely at the top? It's only lonely at the top when you don't bring other people with you. Then it's very lonely at the top. And the principle of doing well and doing good holds true for any one person or any one organization, but it is an especially powerful principle for business and the private sector in the state of the world today. In a business sense, it's the idea that the private sector can be a force for growth and a force for good. That business can make money and make a difference. And as many of you well know, the late C.K. Prahlad, one of the great management thinkers of our time, and an IIMA alumnus, and a former professor here, was a tremendous pioneer and architect around this thinking that I'm just speaking of. Again, why am I saying all this? I mention all of this because I believe there's never been a greater opportunity for business to be a force for good for the world. I also believe that when it comes to this year's graduating class, there has never been a greater opportunity for you, actually for your generation and for mine, to come together to use the best of what we and the organizations we work for have got to offer, all in an effort to meet the global challenges of our time, some of which, by the way, are really, really intractable and serious. And to bring more people into the financial mainstream at a time when half the world's adults, 2.5 billion people, do not even have a bank account. To narrow the widening income inequality gap. To guard against a future where those of you who are into all this, we all talk about the Internet of everything, but it's not the inclusion of everyone. And you cannot have the Internet of everything without including everyone in prosperity. And so to recognize that women, who are half of the world, can make the whole world better, profoundly better. It just gives the same opportunity if you give them as you give to men to realize that the private sector has a role to play in solving for these challenges, but to realize you cannot do it alone, that the public sector has a role to play as well, but they also cannot do it alone. That all of us have a role to play if we put into practice. When I was in Calcutta, where my younger daughter was born, the words of Mother Teresa, who said, "You can do what I cannot do. I can do what you cannot do. Together, we can do great things." So think through that. And this very school was founded not just on the idea of public-private partnerships, but actually by public-private partnerships. The government of Gujarat, the government of India, local businessmen, Harvard Business School, the Ford Foundation, all came together, not only to help build industry in India, but actually to help build India herself. So the sun is long set. It's kind of gone down, but it's rising for India, is my belief. And it's rising for all of you, the graduates of 2015. It's rising as you embark on this next leg of your journey. I said at the outset, I didn't have a detailed plan when I graduated, but I did recognize that much had been given to me by my family, by my friends, by the school, and that these gifts are not the ones I was planning to squander. I still feel that sense of obligation to this day. You know, you've heard the saying, you make a living by what you get, you make a life by what you give. You've got this one precious life to lead as you see fit. All that matters are the limits of your own heart and your own mind. And for the math buffs in you, there are 525,600 minutes in a given year. You've made every minute count during your time here. And no doubt you will do the same as you move ahead. What you're going to do is make sure these minutes count not just for you, but also for others as you make your way. And that is the essence of leadership. It's the essence of something that Mahatma Gandhi once said. Individual liberty and interdependence are both essential for life in society. Only a Robinson Crusoe can afford to be all self-sufficient. Thank you very much, and congratulations once again.
Dear Mr. Ajay Banga, Mr. Nayak, IIMA society members, IIMA board members, institute colleagues, distinguished alumni from our first batch, Mrs. Ritu Banga and alumni batchmates of Mrs. and Mr. Banga, institute alumni from other batches, family members, relatives and friends of the graduating students, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. The Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard wrote, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." We spend our days looking to the past in nostalgia or to a future of dreams. Rare are the moments when we live in the present, delicately poised on the cusp of a rich past and a vibrant future. Today offers one such precious occasion. Our convocation affords us the opportunity to look back and reflect, but also to look ahead and envision. And it is only appropriate that our convocation falls this year on a day celebrated in several parts of our nation as Gudi Parva or Ugadi, the auspicious beginning of a new year. And this is a particularly opportune moment to reflect on our institute's journey. For this year, we mark the 50th convocation of our PGP program, an achievement only possible due to the efforts of several who have dedicated their lives to the institution. And I feel humbled to be sharing these observations with many past directors who are attending this convocation and the alumni of our inaugural PGP 1966 batch. As I stand in front of our faculty and face our graduating class, I am reminded that we see distant vistas because we stand on the shoulders of giants. We warm our palms by the hearths of fires that those before us lit. Whatever the Institute has achieved or hopes to achieve is built on the foundations of dedicated work of generations before us. Those of you who attended the last convocation or have engaged actively with IIMA during this year will recall that we dedicate ourselves to the purpose of educating leaders of enterprises, and towards that objective, we have prioritized our activities in connect, nurture, and grow. Allow me to highlight a few things we have done this past year at the Institute and some of what we look forward to doing in each of these priorities. But in sharing these, I must caution that I'm going to touch on only a few highlights. A more comprehensive exposition would take much too long. We aim to strengthen connections in four spheres: alumni, research, practice, and community. This past year, we made an unprecedented effort to reach out to our alumni. More than 350 alumni and their families participated in the 7 reunions organized at IIMA over December and January. Our Dean Alumni and External Relations and I visited with 12 chapters in India and abroad. Several of these meetings were organized around workshops, panel discussions, or public lectures. Our alumni enjoyed coming to the chapter meetings and expressed a strong desire to strengthen their ties with the Institute. And it gives me a special pleasure to note that on our 50th convocation, our chief guest is an alumnus of the institution. In this coming year, we hope to engage intensively with our alumni to ensure that they feel connected, stay abreast with new thinking and institute developments, but also are able to contribute to us with their experience and insights. To strengthen connections with research, we made a concerted effort to participate in international conferences such as the Academy of Management, initiated a policy conference and a society conference to highlight research to policy framers and reflective practitioners, organized a summer school for doctoral students from our country and beyond, collaborated with our alumnus, Professor Kash Rangan, a world-renowned authority on social enterprise, to organize a conference on corporate social responsibility, worked with GNLU and IIT Kanpur to organize a conference on law and economics. And all these efforts were complementary to our ongoing commitment to regular research seminars organized by our Research and Publications Office and conferences such as the Pan-IM Conference, Data Analytics Conference, Marketing in Emerging Economies Conference, and India Finance Conference. Our management journal Vikalpa tied up with the international publishing house Sage to extend its reach. And during this coming year, besides honoring these ongoing commitments, we hope to launch a new marketing journal and a new e-magazine in collaboration with a global partner, organize colloquia led by world-class faculty during winter months, and further encourage visiting research appointments. We have tried to reinforce our linkages with practice by strengthening and streamlining our executive education program. Last year, over 4,000 middle and senior level executives went through more than 130 executive education programs at IIMA. We have a significant presence in executive education in the Middle East and take pride in our program for armed forces veterans seeking to start second careers in the corporate sector. Outside of North America, IIMA is probably the most prolific producer and user of field-based case studies in the world. We have established a case center at the Institute to strengthen further our case writing, distribution, and teaching capability, and the case center has already established distribution relationships with Harvard Business Publishing and Ivy School. During this coming year, we wish to continue to strengthen executive education, offer joint programs with international partners, strengthen our international presence in executive education, particularly in the littoral states of the Indian Ocean, and develop e-learning capability to reach geographically dispersed practitioners. We plan to offer workshops on case teaching jointly with Harvard Business Publishing and send our faculty on global colloquia on case teaching. We plan also to invite practitioners who have spent several years in positions of responsibility to join our faculty as professors of management practice and share their insights, wisdom, and experience with our students and our faculty. In strengthening connections with the community, we are following the path blazed by our founders. Ravi Mathai's commitment continues to this day with our colleagues working with the Artisans Alliance of Javaja. If you've not had the opportunity, they have a small stall open outside of RJM Ravi Mathai auditorium, and you may want to just stop by there. This past year, we organized an open day for college students to experience a day at IIMA. Under the aegis of Prayas, our PGP students volunteer to work with children of underprivileged backgrounds. Our faculty and students have worked with local schools and communities to help implement the Right to Education Act. Our Heritage Club members have taken IIT community members on memorable walks through historic parts of Ahmedabad city. This year, besides continuing these current activities, we plan to use the underbridge space in front of the Heritage Campus to offer enrichment programs to children of economically underprivileged backgrounds and collaborate with local academic institutions to establish the Ahmedabad Gandhinagar Educational Cluster. For over 30 years, we've contributed to the education of management scholars through our faculty development program. And to contribute meaningfully to building capacity in the nation, we continue to be committed to the program and have offered to mentor the new IIM being established in Nagpur. To nurture a high-performance work environment, we have encouraged our students to engage in academics, but also extracurricular activities. The tremendous impact of Confluence, Chaos with its 60,000 attendees, Entre Fair, Insight and Connection, the success of our students in Sangharsh, the over 24 active student clubs, the sports events and festivals they have organized through this year, all demonstrate that you, our students, excel not just in academia, but in the pursuit of well-rounded lives. A high-performing work environment, as Ajay mentioned, encourages individuals with diverse backgrounds and experiences to enrich the entire community's learning. By paying greater attention to holistic evaluation of candidates' qualities during the admissions process, our entering PGP class last year had 28% women and a more diverse disciplinary background than past classes. This coming year, we hope to continue to encourage a rich mix of students to enter our program by offering PGP seats to foreign citizens and deferred admission to candidates who, in our judgment, might benefit from some work experience. We plan to strengthen our exchange program, to which 128 of our PGP students went last year, dual degree opportunities, and the international immersion program, all of which provide rich international exposure. To maintain a vibrant research environment and also to continue to contribute to management education in the country, we have been steadfastly committed to our FPM program. This past year, we significantly revamped our FPM program to maintain its rigor and relevance. We've also revamped our PGP program and our PGP ABM program, now renamed PGP FABM, to emphasize the importance of food as well as agribusiness, and we are in the process of reviewing our PGPX program. Through all these changes, we have encouraged our faculty to offer a broad range of elective courses so as to create an atmosphere that bubbles with excitement and energy. Our Center for Innovation, Incubation, and Entrepreneurship is offering channels of support and a nurturing ecosystem to the increasingly large number of graduating students and alumni attracted to entrepreneurship. Our faculty have established on their own initiative a credit system to ensure that individual faculty goals are aligned with institutional goals, and to encourage faculty colleagues to engage in high-quality research and teaching. An environment of autonomy and stretch has led to a significant increase in research productivity. We wish to continue to nurture high performance by offering our faculty the resources and environment to pursue their interests and recognizing and rewarding outstanding work. Our alumni and corporate well-wishers have contributed 11 faculty chairs and faculty fellow positions to honor and recruit outstanding faculty. In the coming months, we hope to identify faculty against each of these chairs, even as we continue to work with alumni and corporations to raise more chairs. We have taken steps this past year to grow in a strategic manner, ensuring that we maintain our strategic focus and quality standards. Our faculty has increased to a number of 95. Executive education, as I mentioned, has grown significantly this past year. We plan to continue to increase activity levels in executive education significantly in the coming year. We also plan to admit international students, so including that, our PGP program is likely to expand. The PGPX review is also contemplating whether we ought to grow the program cohort. We are contemplating as well establishing a policy and management program in the near future. As these programs grow, physical infrastructure becomes more of a binding constraint. We've appointed an architect to conserve and restore our beloved but aging heritage campus, and a master architect to help expand our physical footprint commensurately with our ambitions. Our electronic and communications infrastructure needs a major revamp. We plan to initiate this critical multi-year upgrade project in this coming year. We have made progress this past year and have plans to continue to press ahead on our priorities this coming year. It was heartening, as Mr. Naik mentioned, that the recent visit of the Equus peer review team validated our priorities and renewed our accreditation for 5 years, the first time we have received renewal for such a duration, the maximum time permissible under Equus norms. Having said that, I have no illusions. What we have accomplished is only possible with the entire community working together to achieve our goal of being the premier institution for educating leaders of enterprises. And I look forward to everyone's continued cooperation in our shared endeavor. Dear graduating students, I've spent a long time, far too long, I fear, talking about the institution. Allow me to share just a few thoughts with you. As I've got to know you over these past months, my admiration for your abilities and qualities has grown ever deeper. You're brilliant, but as Ajay mentioned, you are also privileged. Privileged to have had the experience that led you to this institute and now to careers of immense potential beyond the institute. I'm confident that you will use this privilege and your abilities to do well and to do good. As you continue on life's magical journey, please do remember to follow your heart. It is your life. Finally, you are responsible for what you do and how you live. Listen to your heart. It will lead you to enterprises and efforts in which you'll pour your passion and excel, I'm sure. Let me close with the last piece of advice that Polonius gives to his departing son Laertes in Shakespeare's Hamlet. To thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. Wish you great success and happiness. Come back every once in a while to this, your home, and regale us with stories of your achievements and experiences. Farewell.
Please rise for national anthem.
Jana Jana Mana Adhinayaka
before we can declare the convocation is closed, at the special occasion of 50th convocation of IIMA Ahmedabad, we need a special cheer at this occasion and for all those first batch graduates who are here. So have a special cheers first. All of you have spent 2 years here. In next few days, you will go in different parts of the world, and perhaps for years you may not meet each other. In many cases, this has happened. Obviously, now in the days of internet, you will be in touch with each other. But the loudest cheers for all of us and for you, before you disperse, for everyone. Have a cheers. And while wishing you once again all the best, I declare the convocation closed.